those who will kill for him. Who is he? What does he want? Where did he come from? And can he be stopped?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my classic film review for the 1976 horror film The Omen. The film is directed by the late great Richard Donner and it stars Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, Harvey Stevens, David Warner, Billy Whitelaw and Patrick Troughton. Now the film follows Robert Thorne and his wife Catherine, who we learn at the beginning of the film, they are told she's heavily pregnant, and they are told that the baby kind of dies in hospital when she gives birth in Rome. However, there is a priest on hand that makes the suggestion to Gregory Peck's character, Robert Thorne, that they don't tell Catherine and that there is actually a baby that they can adopt as their own right there and then in the hospital. Gregory Peck's character agrees to this, Robert Thorne, and they end up taking the child home and naming him Damien. He has a relatively normal childhood until he hits the age of 5, when some strange occurrences start happening around them, and Robert Thorne starts to question where this child has come from, and he starts to learn that this child may in actual fact be the son of Satan. Right, what are my thoughts on The Omen? Well, after watching the most recent one that came out, the prequel, The First Omen, it kind of made me really want to revisit the Omen franchise, and it's a long time since I've seen the Omen movies. I've always enjoyed them, and I've got, quite a strong relationship, if you like, nostalgia relationship with the first Omen. I mean, number one, it's a classic horror. I think that's, it goes without saying. It's very well made, very atmospheric, and there's some very, very creepy stuff that go on in this film. It's very well done. There's layers of, it's quite subtle at times, this film. And then at times it's just very, very intense, and there's this real sense of unease while you're watching it, and much of that comes from the very, very strong central performances that we get here in this film. Gregory Peck in particular, I think, is very, very good here, and in actual fact he'd been retired, I believe, for several years before he made this film. And it really gave this film a real air of legitimacy when he signed on to do the film. And he didn't. It's also reported that he took a huge pay cut to do the film, but agreed to take a share of the profits. And after this film was obviously a huge success, it turned out to be his most profitable role. And obviously, after The Exorcist in the 70s, horrors, supernatural horrors or religious horrors, whatever you want to call them, were very, very popular, of course. And this came on the back of The Exorcist and kind of managed to stand on its own feet as a very, very good horror film. As I said, I've got a strong relationship with this film. This is one of those horrors that, along with things like Alien and An American Wealth in London and The Thing and things like that, the horrors that I grew up on and I watched way before I should have done. I was that kid that sneaked downstairs and put the VHS in the machine, at midnight, so that, my mum and dad didn't know I was watching videos that they'd rented. And this was one of them. And it scared the bejesus out of me. The decapitation scene was particularly harrowing, I remember. There's just so many of the dogs, the Rottweilers, chasing them about and growling, and the woman hanging herself off the side of the building. It's all for you, Damien. I mean, go on and on and on. You know, the baboon attack at the safari park. I remember that being really quite disturbing to me as a youngster. Even when you watch them now, you kind of forget. You're like, oh gosh, I forgot about this bit, and it just kind of really impacts the film. And then the great casting. I mean, it's fabulous casting anyway. I mean, Patrick Troughton as Father Brennan was just inspired. I mean, you know, very good. The fact, you know, that he thinks he could just turn up and then tell Gregory Peck's character Robert Thorne that, you know, he saw who Damien's mother was and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, anybody'd boot him out of the office. But fabulous performance by him. But also, as well, inspired casting with Harvey Stevens as Damien. Now, it's also my understanding that at the audition stage, because obviously, as you could imagine, many, many children were auditioned for this part. And what Richard Donner asked each of them to do was to attack him as they would their mother in the scene at the church when, you know, he's not allowed, when they're taking him to church for a wedding, I believe it is. And obviously this is Damien, he can't go anywhere near a church, and he throws a hissy fit in the car and attacks his mum. That's what Richard Donner wanted them to do in the audition to him. And Harvey Stevens apparently, you know, kicked him in the bollocks and all sorts, and he kind of immediately cast him. I told him to get his hair dyed because he was a blonde-haired boy instead of dark-haired, and he got the part immediately. So it's a very, very memorable horror film, this, and it's aged very well, is what I want to say. I think because the story here is very, very strong and the performances are very, very strong. It's one of those films where you can look past the time of the film, like the 70s, and look past all that kind of stuff and just kind of see the characters and enjoy the story and just be creeped out by everything. It's very, very good. I mean, it was very nostalgic for me to rewatch this. You know, I remember it kind of took me right back to my childhood, some of the scenes, you know. The scene, I remember being completely devastated with the final scene of the film, you know, where Gregory Peck gets, spoiler guys, Gregory Peck gets taken out by the police just as he's about to kill Damien with those sacred knives on hallowed ground sort of thing. And I remember being completely devastated at that point, not knowing, you know, that Damien, you know, the second one and the third one were either out or being made, because I can't just remember when I first watched this film on VHS. I can't remember if the sequels were out by then. But yeah, classic horror film, very, very enjoyable. If you have seen the first Omen, or you're looking at the first Omen and thinking, well, I don't know anything about the Omen franchise, go and give that a watch if you like, and then, you know, start the Omen films, because the first Omen is a prequel to this film, and then obviously we get the 3 Omen films following. Well, in actual fact, there's 4 Omen films, but apparently I haven't seen the 4th one, but I don't think it's regarded as canon anyway. So yeah, thanks for joining me for this classic film review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, another thing I did want to mention as well is this is one of those films that had the classic curse following it about. There is, you know, like legend in regards to connected to some horror films like The Exorcist, Poltergeist, and this film, you know, the fact that they had supposed curses that they're following them. And some of the things that apparently happened on this film set is Gregory Peck and one of the crew members caught different planes to London, and they both got struck by lightning. The Rottweilers that they were using on this film attacked their own trainers. The hotel where Richard Donner was staying was bombed by the IRA. The plane that another plane that Gregory Peck was supposed to catch, but he ended up didn't. He caught a different one. The one he should have been on crashed and everybody was killed. And several members of the crew survived a very, very serious car crash as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily believe in like these curses on film sets and stuff, but it makes for a good story, doesn't it? So there was certainly plenty of talking points in regards to the Omen set being cursed as well. So thanks for joining me for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to revisit and review the second and third Omens as well. So thanks for joining me.